Chapter 14. Can't be normal even if I tried. I got off the bus on Western Avenue, Potomac Street, walked to Hector's and then went upstairs. Junkies were sitting on the steps waiting for Hector to open the drugstore. They were happy to see me, but only because they knew I would wake Hector up to let them in. I knocked and kicked on the door for about 5 minutes. Finally, I heard a woman's voice say, "Motherfucker, come back later, shit." "It's me," I said, "let me in." "Are you alone?" the voice asked. "No, there's a line out here," I responded. I was instructed to tell everyone to go downstairs. I didn't have to say a word. The junkies on the top of the steps heard this and started down. All the rest followed. "They're gone, let me in," I said, then waited as the door opened. When the door opened, Gina was on the other side. She unlocked the 2 locks on the heavy-duty gate that protected the door and let me in. "Hector wants you," Gina said as she closed the gate and the door. I walked to Hector's room and asked what he wanted from outside the door. "How many are out there?" Hector asked. "About 10, I answered. "Here, tell them that's all until tonight," Missy said as she stuck her arm out to hand me a butter canister containing bags of heroin. "How many are here?" I asked. 20 dimes, she answered. "Hold the money," she said, and then closed the bedroom door. I opened the front door and exchanged drugs for money with the junkies. I sold 20 bags of heroin at $20 a piece in 2 minutes. "Don't come back until tonight. There's no more," I told the junkies as I handed them their fix. I sold 20 bags but still had 2 left. Apparently, Hector or Missy had miscounted the bags. "How many did you sell?" Hector yelled. 20, I responded. Gina put her hand over my mouth and said, "I'll buy those from you." Before I could tell Hector, there were 2 left. I walked into my room with her, lay down on the bed, and watched Gina prepare to fix. She pulled a half ounce of weed from her purse and tossed it to me. "Light it up," she said. I pulled 2 already rolled joints from inside the plastic bag and told her I was going to keep the rest for myself. Gina cooked the 2 bags of heroin in a soup spoon with a cigarette lighter. She put a small piece of cotton in the spoon and then filtered the liquid through the cotton into a syringe. "Do me a favor," Gina said. "Take off your clothes," I responded. "You're a nasty kid," Gina said as she handed me the syringe. Then she pulled off her sundress. All Gina had underneath her dress were G-string panties. She sat on the bed and put her leg on my lap. I handed her a joint and told her to light up. I parted her second and third toe, inserted the needle, and then tried to draw blood into the syringe. I had to insert the needle twice before I found her vein and drew blood. I let the blood and heroin mix together inside the syringe and then slowly inserted the mixture in her vein. Gina closed her eyes and moaned as I emptied the syringe into her bloodstream. When the syringe was empty, I pulled it out and put it on the windowsill. "Thank you," she said. "Take off your pants and I'll try to take care of you." I stripped naked, then lay there smoking a joint and watching Gina perform oral sex on me. Gina would do something that Jenny and Maria never did. She swallowed my semen. I thought she was a sick bitch for doing that, but I loved the feeling. It never occurred to me that there was anything wrong with the 14-year-old kid injecting heroin into a junkie, not to mention getting his penis sucked by a prostitute on a consistent basis. Yet it all seemed so normal. That was what my life was all about. Not once did I or anyone around me worry about the repercussions of our actions. My childhood had been stolen from me and I didn't realize it. I thought it was my duty as a man to involve myself sexually with every woman and any woman who offered me sexual favors. In reality, I was only a boy, a little boy. I slept until 3 p.m. that day. I looked out the window and saw Papo's brothers playing baseball at Clemente Field. I worried about a confrontation with the Spanish lords, but went out and played with the brothers anyway. After the game, Papo's older brother, Geraldo, invited me to their house. He told me that he had heard about the incident with the Shy West. Geraldo assured me that I had done the right thing by not wanting to shoot anyone. He advised me to stay away from his brother because he was a troublemaker. The things he said made sense, but somehow I still felt like I had done something wrong and would now have to prove myself as a tough guy. I knew the hostility between the lords and me would continue unless I proved to them that I wasn't a punk. Jenny telling me that she didn't want a punk for a boyfriend also kept ringing in my head. I had to find a way to erase the memory of that night we confronted the Shy West. The only way I knew how to do that was to approach Rican and ask for another chance. Getting to talk to Rican proved to be a task in itself. Every time I tried to talk to him, he would either tell me to get the fuck away from him or tell someone else to say the same thing. School was to begin in a couple weeks and I wanted to get enrolled. I had to figure out how to get myself enrolled at Clemente. I went and asked Maria to pretend she was my mom. She said she would do it as long as I had the school transfers. I ran home to look for him. I knew I had them, but I forgot where I put them. Hector was sitting at the kitchen table with a white guy I had never seen before. They were counting money. He called me over and introduced me as his little brother. The white guy had a gun holstered to his side. He didn't look like a junkie or anybody who would hang out with Hector. His name was Schwartz. Detective Schwartz said he was a good friend of Hector's and that I should mention his name if I ever got stopped by the cops. I didn't say a word. I just kept thinking about Hector having a cop for a friend. It didn't make any sense. I guess I was still a little ignorant to the whole drug scene. They were counting a lot of money and talking about something that was to happen at Hector's on Thursday of the following week. I went into my room and found my school transfers. I asked Hector for $10 and went back outside after he gave me the money. I didn't know what to do about school clothes. My current wardrobe consisted of 3 pairs of pants and 5 t-shirts. I thought about the clothes Marilyn, Rican's girlfriend, had offered me and somehow found the courage to go claim them. I got to Rican's house and hesitated to knock at first, but decided to risk it. Marilyn opened the door and asked me to come in. I asked her if I could take the clothes she had offered me previously. She pointed toward the back room and told me to help myself. I took a close look at Marilyn and noticed she had a black eye. She was trying hard to hide it by letting her hair fall over her face. I asked her about it, but all she said was to hurry up and to get out before Rican came back home. She said Rican had told her not to let me come inside anymore. I picked up the bags of clothes and left as quickly as I could. I went to Maria's house instead of Hector's. I couldn't get Marilyn out of my mind. If Rican could be so brutal to the mother of his children, imagine what he could do to me. I got to Maria's house and asked her if I could keep my things there. She said it was okay. Then she asked me for a joint. I told her I didn't have any pot, so she gave me money to go buy some. I went to the Unknowns' hangout and found Speedy. He was selling nickel bags. After a little joking around with Speedy, I bought a bag and headed back to Maria's apartment. Maria was sitting in the living room drinking a beer when I got back. She told me to roll a joint and light it up. As I rolled the joint, I noticed Maria seemed depressed. I had never seen her that way before. She was usually gracious regardless of what was happening. We smoked about 4 joints without saying a word to each other. I wanted to come on to her sexually, but realized it wasn't the right time for it. I looked out the window and saw that the night had already fallen. I wondered out loud where Lucy, Myra, and Yolanda were. They were usually in the house or out front with the guys by nightfall. I thought maybe the girl's absence might have something to do with Maria's depression. Without answering, Maria got up, went into her bedroom, and locked the door behind her. I decided it was time to go pay Jenny a visit. I walked to Western and North Avenue and sneaked on the bus, headed toward Jenny's house. I figured that little man would be outside with his friends, getting high, but there was nobody there. I went through the gangway and climbed up to Jenny's window. I peeked in, saw that she was alone, and went in. Jenny was, as always, happy to see me. In no time at all, we were naked and having sex. I talked Jenny into performing oral sex on me. Actually, I forced her to do it. I threatened to make a lot of noise if she didn't comply with my wishes. Jenny kept saying she didn't want to and begged me not to make her do it. But I was determined. I told her to pretend it was a lollipop, but not to bite. After relentless debating, Jenny began to do as I instructed. Desire made the feeling kind of awkward. I closed my eyes and imagined that it was Gina there instead of Jenny. I felt an orgasm coming and put my hands on Jenny's head. She tried to pull away, but I grabbed on tight to her hair to make sure she swallowed my semen. I had forgotten that it wasn't Gina I was dealing with. Jenny began gagging and pulled away as hard as she could. "Get the fuck out of here, you asshole," she whispered angrily. "Give me something to clean myself with," I demanded. "You sick bastard. Why did you make me do that?" Jenny said. "Because I love it," I answered as I cleaned my groin area with her bed sheets. "You like it when I do it to you, don't you?" I asked. "Well, I want the same." You do it because you want to. I never asked for it, Jenny replied as I got dressed. I got up real close to her face and said angrily, "But you love it, don't you? You love it." Then pushed her to the bed. "I'm going to smoke a joint, but I'll be back and you better be ready," I told Jenny as I made my way out of her window. Jenny closed the window and locked it when I got out. "Fucking bitch," I said to myself, then went to the back of the house to smoke a joint. When I got done smoking, I was determined to get back into Jenny's room and have sex with her. I climbed up and found the window still locked. Jenny saw me and closed the curtain. "I'll break the window, you bitch. You better let me in," I demanded. When I didn't get a response, I hit the window hard enough to break it, but it didn't break. That was enough to scare Jenny into letting me in. She opened the window and said, "Come in already, just be quiet." Jenny lay down and turned her back to me. She was still naked. I took off my clothes and laid down next to her. I was determined to have sex with her. She refused all my advances. I kept getting angrier. "Bitch, I'll kill you if you push me away one more time," I told her. She turned around and began kissing me. She cried and said, "I hate you," as I kissed my way down her body. "Don't do that, I hate you," she said. I ignored her completely. All I was worried about was my pleasure. As long as she stayed on the bed, she could cry all she wanted. When I was finished, she told me I had to leave. I refused until she threatened to tell her brother about what had happened that night. I got dressed, kissed her on the forehead, and left. I hopped the bus back to the hood. It was about 3:30 in the morning. Nobody answered the door at Hector's. Nobody answered the door at Maria's either. I sat in the hallway stairs that led to Maria's house and fell asleep. My experiences with adults influenced my everyday actions. My brutality with Jenny took place without regret, as if she was my property to do whatever I wanted. My wish was her command, or else. No thought was given to what our relationship would be like from that day on. There was no tomorrow, or at least no advantage in thinking about it. It was as if nothing had happened. "Wake up, you can't be sleeping in our hallway," someone said as they shook me awake. It was Lucy. She was just coming in. It was already about noon. I had slept in that hallway for quite a while. I went to Hector's, showered, asked for money, slept for another 5 hours, and then headed back to the streets. I stopped at the store and got some Twinkies and a pint of milk, which I devoured on my way back to Maria's. I had to go there and change my clothes. I also wanted to give her my school transfers and discuss what we would do to get me enrolled at Clemente. I was going up the stairs to Maria's when I heard someone screaming. It was Maria and Lucy arguing. The door was closed but unlocked, so I let myself in. I found Speedy and Papo there, along with Maria, Lucy, Myra, and Yolanda. I asked Speedy what was going on. He told me the argument was about Maria's boyfriend. Maria was obviously drunk. She kept calling her daughter a cheap bitch and told her that she should sell herself instead of being a free neighborhood sperm bank. Lucy replied by saying, "I came out just like you, and you're only known for your blowjobs." Maria charged Lucy and punched her in the face. Lucy fell to the floor. Maria sat on her, grabbed her by her hair, and continued beating her while calling her every bad name in the book. Things had definitely gotten out of hand between them. Speedy, Papo, and I separated them. As soon as I got Lucy off the floor, Maria punched her again. She fell, crawled over Speedy, and held on to him. Maria went into the kitchen and came back with a beer in her hand. She stood in the middle of the floor and said, "I want to tell you little bitches something. This is my house. I let you whores get all the dick you want here. So when I decide I want some dick, I don't want to hear shit from any of you. Do you fucking understand that? This is my house. I'm the boss here." Everybody just looked at her. Lucy was still crying, hanging on to Speedy and talking shit to Maria. "You bitch. You even fuck little boys," Lucy said. After that remark, Maria really lost it. "Who the hell do you think you are to tell me who I can and cannot fuck, huh, bitch?" Maria said as she reached for Lucy's hair. "If I want to fuck little boys, it's my business." Maria slammed the can of beer in her hand against the wall and started ripping her own clothes off. She was grabbing her own body and saying, "I'm horny. I'm fucking horny. I want some prick." She stood in front of Papo, spread her legs, and yelled at him to fuck her. Papo was in shock. He didn't even blink. Maria moved away from him and said, "You little faggot, you don't know what you just missed." She then came over to where I was sitting, kneeled in front of me, and began wrestling with my pants. "This is the little boy I fucked, and I'll fuck him again," Maria said. She was just about to get my pants undone when I panicked, jumped up and over her, and ran out of the door. Everybody looked at me like I was doing something wrong. I was doing the only thing I could do.